The little guys won. The push to give away air traffic control has ended.
Tuesday, the chief proponent of the idea threw in the towel. House Transportation Committee Chairman Bill Shuster put out this press release saying that the air traffic control reform provisions in H.R. 2997 did not, quote, reach the obvious level of support needed to pass Congress. AOPA President Mark Baker was ecstatic.
Really tribute to a couple 100,000 calls, letters, emails to Congress. And by the way, it shows our system works because GA's voice was heard, led by AOPA and others and NBA and all of our alphabets. But to really get people that excited and to make the difference to call and be heard and ultimately prevail on something that was, let's call it last June, an assumed law, and to make sure that we went on defense, and it didn't happen.
And it was a tough fight against much more powerful opponents, including the major airlines and their powerful lobby.
It certainly is a lesson learned for them. I mean, they spent tens and tens of millions of dollars on this effort. And, we were just a grassroots group that fought it with people in the street and all across these great 50 states to be heard. And even when they outspent us, 200 to 1 or 2,000 to 1, they weren't able to get the votes of support to prevail on privatizing ATC. So I don't think they'll be back anytime soon, but they will be back.
So bottom line, after more than 2 years of trying to push air traffic control out of the FAA, why did the effort collapse now?
They just didn't have the votes. And that really goes out to our members and really the entire general aviation community. Over 250 general aviation organizations alone teamed up with a growing chorus of other industries, labor unions, state aviation officials, airports, very active in opposing this proposals.
Jim says the most likely scenario now is that Congress will pass a short-term extension for the FAA and then work on a multi-year FAA reauthorization that could be passed before lawmakers go home in August.
The thing that we really all want to work on in aviation is let's move forward. There are things like long-term funding that we all agree on. There's things about how do we expedite datacom? How do we move to having a more efficient FAA in decision-making and support? That I want to work with everybody in aviation, including the airlines and everybody, to start to focus on the opportunities in the future by having a great system, making it better.
So a really big deal this week. Surprise, too, because I think we were still strategizing on where we were going to go next because we knew with that March deadline coming up for FAA, the extension running out, that we were going to see a big press by the airlines and by the administration in the next few weeks.
It was a surprise. We were literally gearing up, in the war room,
right.
And a pleasant surprise. But as Mark said, it's probably going to be back at some point, so we'll be ever vigilant. But our members and pilots really did make a difference. I've been out at events where pilots say, do I really need to call or write?
Right.
Does it really make a difference? And I think this proves it does. I think they said over 200,000 pilots contacted their members of Congress.
Was a very big deal. In fact, in my almost 33 years of covering general aviation, I can only think of kind of one other sort of legislative effort, which was the General Aviation Revitalization Act back in the mid-90s,
yes.
Early 90s, that sort of was at this same level where we got major parts of the general aviation and even non-aviation communities involved in trying to get something done in Washington. In that case, it was to get a bill passed. This case, it was to keep a bill from getting passed, but it worked, and it worked well.
We were both there for that effort as well, I hate to say.